Okay, so you guys are live now?
Thank you. Thanks, Noel.
No problem. Yeah.
So, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the series of conversations that we are hosting to understand what's happening in the child development space and how individuals and brands, the ones catering to the needs in this space, are viewing the transition and the challenges it throws up. Whether they see this as an opportunity to progress further on their goals, let's find out. Today, we have with us Bridget Hallisey from Florida, a woman whose work is actually making a difference, one family at a time and one kid at a time. And she's staying true to her goal of wanting to create a positive transformation in the relation between kids and their parents. Let's learn more about her story and the work she does. Hi, Bridget. Good evening.
Hi, Kayan. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you.
Wow, it must be morning, right? So good morning to you.
Yeah, it's 10 a.m. here.
Yeah. So let's start with the conversation. So, we are so glad to have you here with us today. Now, before we decided to do this conversation, we surfed through your website a bit, and I found
hmm
something fascinating that I would like to talk about. This was the write up that you've shared about you. Can you tell us more about your story and how that motivated you to pursue the work that you're doing right now?
Yeah. So basically, when I was younger, I was actually diagnosed with a childhood anxiety disorder called selective mutism. So I actually had this like phobia of speaking to people. And it lasted till I was about 10. So it lasted about like 5 years, but I still struggled with it, throughout my teenage years. I didn't have that many friends. So it was always like a challenge for me. And, during that time, I kind of developed this almost, I don't want to call it a sixth sense, but like, I was very attuned with like people and like I would always observe people and like interactions between others because, I didn't speak. So I was just like forced to observe everything around me, which kind of brought about like my personality growing up. I was always like a mediator, like I wanted to help people, I was just like really intrigued by that aspect. So, um, when I went to college, I studied biochem, but it was never something that I felt like was my true passion, and I've always worked with kids, like I always preferred, babysitting instead of going out with my friends, like I just loved kids and I felt like I connect with kids. Um, and then later on in my teenage years, I had a really bad relationship with my mom after my dad passed away. So that was something I felt like I could, put together the kids and this relationship with their parents. And I wanted kids to have that relationship that basically I never had. So that I guess that was really like the motivation of how everything started. And, I started looking into it more online. I connected with other mentors. And, I think I finally found something that I'm really passionate about. And I'm making a difference. So that's really what matters at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's such
Yeah.
such a beautiful story to hear, and you took the positive out of it, and the difference that you're making right now is actually making a difference to millions of such people who might have
hmm
different conditions and different circumstances, and for a person of to come out of such a story and then put that into passion into your work says a lot about you.
Yeah.
So, what is it that you do exactly? So, I see that you have your own community in the form of a Facebook group where you interact with parents and identify their challenges. And what happens after that?
Yeah. So my Facebook group is really just a platform where I talk about my ideas and where I share my blogs and my YouTube videos because I have a YouTube channel as well. But I'm also in other Facebook groups where I connect with, people who are also doing the same thing. And so that's where I reach out to other people in the community, people who are struggling. So it's not just in my Facebook platform, it's other platforms. I find people who, like my YouTube videos. I'm also on Medium, which is a blog website. So there are a lot of, areas where I'm connected to. So that's how I guess, uh, branch out. I don't know. So it's not just my platform. It's a bunch of other platforms that I'm also connecting with people as well. but yeah, so then I connect with them, and then usually it's like we do a phone call to see if they actually have, something that I can help them with, and then we take it from there. And I do the personal coaching, and sometimes I'm just out there messaging people just to help, and I'm making like the free online resources, like the printable PDFs that I have, the activity guides that I have, all those things.
Wow. So it must be a learning process for you as well, as you come across different people coming and sharing different types of challenges with you, and you might have to update your activity sheets. You might have to update the solutions that you provide to them. So are you in this alone, or are you working with somebody else? And how do you get your resources from? Where do you get your resources from?
Yeah, so right now I am in this alone. It's definitely been a learning curve from when I started. I'm still learning. So, and everyone's situation is different. So it's hard to, I guess, craft this like personal plan for someone if, you don't know enough about them and you don't know enough about their experience. So it's, every day is something new. When I work with my clients, it's constantly changing the things that I'm looking online to help them, and you know like learning about different child psychology. It's always a big challenge, and I think it'll be a big challenge until I grow more and I learn more, and I end up wanting to acquire more people on my team who have the same vision. But yeah, it's definitely a challenge, and I'm still learning. So
Yeah, and again, when I went through the resources that you've put up online, correct me if I'm wrong, but then your long-term vision also is to see that through your work, you see those enhanced relations between children and their parents, positive relations being developed, and emotional things that might have boundaries for connections between parents and children to work with. Is that what your long-term vision is, or am I different? Is it different from what I'm saying?
no, I think you're definitely on the right track. I think you know children are the future, right? So we have to treat them as such. And I think a lot of parents get so preoccupied with, this is what my parents did, so I have to do the same thing. If we keep repeating those habits and we're, looking at what's worked in the past, that's not going to work in the future. We have to keep adapting with the world around us and the changes around us and the technology even. So it's always changing. And I think that's really the bigger picture, to keep up with the times and, you know, not be so stuck in the past about how we look at children and how we, understand children.
Yeah, you saying this is actually fascinating to know, because we are of the belief that for countries like India, we do have this problem of a generational gap which exists, but now we realize that this is a problem that is common across geographies, and
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, so when you do this, when you get this understanding between the children and their parents, now since the parents come from a set of from a time which is not existent right now, and when you say that they are the future and you need to look at as the children as the future, and you need to look at where we are going and develop them accordingly and treat them accordingly. So
Mhm.
when you propose your methods or when you propose your ideas, do you get any friction from the side from the parents side, and if yes, how do you deal with them?
Well, I think a big thing. So when I first start out, I have parents looking at, their past and their childhood, and how their, past could potentially affect the way they're parenting. And I think the most important thing is having them become more aware and conscious of what they're doing and why it's not working. Um, so I think that's like a big part of it, just having them become aware and become conscious that, okay, this method, maybe it's not the best method, but so far I haven't been, come across much friction in that aspect. I think generally the people that I've worked with are, open to new ideas. It's more so like spouses that are like kind of conflict with these new ideas. Like my one client was like, my husband doesn't think this is working, like all this stuff, but she believed in it and she thought it was helping, and that's what mattered. And eventually she got her husband on board. So I think it's more so spouses that are like have that friction that I come across.
Yeah, and it also says that the field in which you're working on, it actually needs work with the mentalities and the attitudes of different personalities. And unless and until you're totally committed to it, you really cannot see the difference that you wish to see in the particular client or in that particular family. So I think every exercise and every client that you undertake, you must be going through that entire cycle of commitment and energy,
Yeah.
understanding them, getting them on board with you, and then slowly proposing what you want to propose.
Mm-hmm. And the more people I bring into this, the more clients that I get, I think the more I learn from it at the end of the day, and the better I can do to help future clients.
Yeah. Bridget, it is interesting to see that so many big brands as well, so such recognized brands bring in big investments and infrastructure who are trying to do similar work. So if I may ask, in what way would you say your work is different, and how do you see your work shaping up in the future?
I think the biggest thing for me, or I guess people, when they meet me and they talk to me, is like, well, how do you know anything about this if you don't have any kids? That's always been a big thing for me. And I think in a way it removes kind of the bias. Because I don't have kids, I can't say, well, I did this one thing and it works. There are many things that can work for different people. So I think because I'm, out of that equation where like I have a kid and like I could have a certain bias for a certain reason, I can look at it from both perspectives. I can look at it from the child perspective and I can look at it from the parent perspective. So I think that's a big thing. And also a lot of people focus on, the exact method, this is going to stop tantrums, this is going to do that. And I look at it more as the relationship aspect, which I think not many people are quite focused on. So I think those two are pretty my big something that separates me from everything else.
Yes, yes. And I identify the gap in that too. I mean, if you look at child development right now, at least I can speak for the exposure that I've had, that child development is wrongly connotated with education. And education in itself has a very small scope than what it should actually have. And I think the work that you're doing is something that people are not looking at as an integral part of the journey of from the time a child is born to the time he or she becomes an adult individual, and how it shapes their personalities.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So like I was asking you earlier, so where do you see your work shaping up in the future? If I have to ask you what is your long-term vision or goal, then what would that be?
I think community, building a strong and large community that has an impact, that shares my ideas. Right now, I'm small, and I work with not that many clients so far. So I think the ultimate goal is, turning this to more of an online platform rather than that personal coaching, so I can reach more people and, change more perspectives and open people's minds, and having other parents connect with each other, not just me connecting with them, but some people might have a similar story, going through the same issues. So I think that's a big thing, building that bigger platform and building that community.
I think in ways one or the other, both our visions match to quite an extent, because me, when I'm trying to do what I'm trying to do with One Life Experiences over here, is also to try build that community where you have interactions of parents and children and other stakeholders like brands and individuals like you who are working to have that free flow and connect and be felt like part of a larger system who is trying to make a difference in this field. And I
Yeah.
think collective working is the way to go over here.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Uh, Bridget, if I may ask you about, so you said that you speak to them, you call them up, you understand their issues, and then some of them turn into your clients who you counsel or you coach. So what exactly run us through this coaching module or this coaching program that you undertake?
Yes. So it's a 6-week program that I do, and each week is kind of like a new topic. So, like I mentioned, where I go through first with them, that's week 1, where I, uncover their past. We go through, what's been holding them back, things like that. And then every week after that, we generally do a check-in and, see how they're going. We talk about what's been working, what hasn't been working, and then I cater what hasn't and what has been working to the next topic in addition to what I'm talking about. So it's general concepts like child psychology, social emotional learning, things like that that generally affect the relationship, and just opening up to these new concepts and giving them a few techniques and tools to try throughout the week. And we go through some worksheets together that I built for them, and just things, having them open up and try new things with their kids, with themselves, things like that. And we just take it week by week, and we go from there.
Wow. Okay. And I believe this is being curated, this entire 6-week workshop, 6-week exercise that you do with them has been curated by you as part of your learning curve, and you keep adding on new resources to it as and when you find new, challenges or something new to tackle or something new to talk about.
Yeah. I'm always tweaking it because I think I'm learning more as I go through it, and I'm learning more from people, what has been working, what hasn't been working. So I'm always changing it and constantly trying to make it better and more effective for, I guess the general crowd, not just like personalized.
Right, right. I would right now I would like to just go back in time if you're okay. And again, I read about your personal blog on your website that you are so fascinated with the concept of babysitting and taking care of children that
Yeah.
that where you were growing up, you did start off the small initiative where you used to take care of the area kids, right? I mean, you took upon the responsibility of taking care of the children while the parents were away. How was
Yeah.
that experience, and what did you learn from that experience?
No, I loved it. I was just always so fascinated with children and just like how their brains work, how they're so curious. And I felt like I could connect with them on a different level than I could like normal adults, I just felt so open with them and so free. And I was just so fascinated by how they think and grow and learn. So I think that was like one of like the main reasons that I felt like I know I need to work with children, and I know I can connect with them and make a difference. But I love doing it. It was like so much fun. I love kids.
That was at what age, if I may ask?
I think when I was like, probably from the time I was like 15, and I was like babysitting till I was like 19, like on and off with different families and things like that.
Oh, wow. And do you, just out of curiosity, do you have any one of these kids who are still in touch with you, who come back to you, talk to you about the time that you took care of them? Could you share one or two experiences as such?
Yeah, so there was this one kid I used to babysit in high school, and I would pick him up from school, and I was like basically his mom for a couple hours because like I took him to soccer practice, I fed him, I did all these things. I felt like a mom, like driving in a minivan, like the whole thing. And he still remembers me. I just reconnected with his mom on Facebook the other day, And like he was so excited. I mean, we don't plan on meeting up, but like the fact that he remembered me and like remembered our experiences together was really like touching for me, that I made that much of an impact in his life.
Yes, and I think at the broader scheme of things, when you talk about the work that you're doing, uh, these are the moments which tell you that you're on the right path, and it gives you so much happiness that if
Yeah.
you can make an impact to a sizable number, which forms into development of a community, and by the time you're done, you're leaving behind something much bigger than what you were, and that's
Yeah.
such a nice thought to carry along with every night.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with the events and shocks that are happening around the globe right now, and everyone's still trying to absorb and adjust to the changing environment, and we still have so much of uncertainty that surrounds us. Through the interactions that you've had with parents and children, what would you say are the biggest challenges and hurdles to parents and children as we look to build a safe and optimistic future for them right now?
I'd say the biggest challenges would probably be that nothing is permanent right now. Like the world is changing at a faster rate than we can even keep up with. With the whole pandemic issue, the constant change in technology, our social injustice issue now. It's just like we have to keep up with the times and keep, educating our children of these fast-paced times. We're like forced to learn at a faster rate, essentially. So I think just keeping up with the ever-changing world around us is probably the biggest issue, like staying relevant, I guess.
Yes. So I mean I can go on and on and on, but I think
Yeah.
yeah, I am just so fascinated to hear more about what you hold for the future and how you see this, because it is in a way, if I have to call it, it is not the structured way of how uh, people have been viewing parenting and child development, but we do recognize, and right now I believe with what is happening around the globe, we do recognize that this is much needed, and the changed approach is much needed. You can't look at parenting and child development like you look at any other spheres of your life. And it is not like a movement or a phase where you provide a service or you offer a product, it's consumed and it's done. No, it's an entire journey, and you need to stay committed to it. So obviously the way you approach it is going to be different. And
Yeah.
hearing about what you're doing and hearing about why you do what you do kind of actually fascinates me to yes, just be there and understand more about the work that you're doing, and stay abreast with it, and
Hmm.
see if we could collaborate on any platform or for any need, because to be very honest, that's what prompted me also to do the work that I am doing at One Life Experiences right now. And I think when we have this shared ambition of creating the community space, I don't see any reason why we should be collaborating and working together to find
Yeah.
solutions for common
Yeah, me
challenges
too.
that face us. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the more people involved, like the more of an impact that we can create. So that's why I enjoy connecting with people who have the same vision as me, because we can create more of a difference than me doing it alone, or you doing it alone, or anyone else doing it alone.
Yes, absolutely. So, Bridget, just to leave us with a version of your story for the future as far as parenting and child development is concerned, if I have to ask you, if I take a couple of minutes and look at the work that you've done 20 years from now, what is your version of the future?
Um, I think that I want kids to feel like they can do anything, like they have power and they have a voice and they're basically unstoppable. And I think it's really important that we think about, kids as the future, because they are the future and we have to treat them as such. So it's very important what we say and what we do around them, because they are so absorbent and they know a lot more than we think. So I think it's really important to, educate them the right way and build connections with them, and, have that emotional touch with them, because it is so important in, their overall, their well-being, their development in all areas of life. That's what ultimately, impacts their success. So I think that would be for what I see for the future, that all kids have that opportunity to be what they want and to be successful.
Yeah, I think we have to leave you with the wonderful thought that you've shared right now, and we hope to connect back with you soon and see if we can do some work together. And
Yeah.
I wish you all the best for the work that you're doing, and I hope you get to envision and see the reality of the vision that you're seeing right now.
Yeah. Thank you so much for speaking with me today.
Thank you so much. It was
awesome.
a pleasure.
Yeah.
Okay. See you soon. I'll connect with you soon. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. That was Bridget Hallisey sharing her vision and her story with us. And that brings to end one more episode of O.L.E Talks. We see you soon. Stay safe. Take care. Bye-bye.